right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'll start off with an update on Mali, where our peacekeeping colleagues are telling us that they are expediting their withdrawal from Beir in the Timbuktu region by 1 day due to a deteriorating security situation in the area, including risks to the safety and security of UN personnel. The national authorities were promptly informed. The mission reported 2 attacks yesterday on a convoy carrying personnel and equipment from the base at Beir to Timbuktu, resulting in 4 Burkinabese peacekeepers suffering injuries. Fortunately, those are not life-threatening. We condemn the attacks and call on parties to ensure safe movement for peacekeepers throughout the withdrawal period as the mission endeavors to hand over bases and previously mandated responsibilities to the Malian authorities, the UN country team, and the UN Office for West Africa and the Sahel. As a rule, the UN Peacekeeping Mission in Mali can only transfer its facilities to the Malian state. In this context, the UN is in discussions with the Malian authorities on a draft agreement that will govern the transfer of UN peacekeeping camps. In parallel, whenever the UN peacekeepers depart a camp, the designated representative of the Malian authorities is requested to attest to the state of the camp and the facilities, and also to confirm that we have fulfilled our environmental obligations. Quick humanitarian update for you from Niger, where our team continues to deliver aid despite the challenges, including the ongoing rainy season. Last week, 22,000 people in the Maradi region in the center of the country received cash assistance and food items. We and our humanitarian partners are also working with de facto authorities to identify and prepare a site to accommodate about 13,000 internally displaced people in the Uru Galajo in the Tilaberi region. These people were displaced from several villages in the region in that region in mid-July, before the current political crisis. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tells us they are deeply concerned by reports of deadly clashes in South Darfur in Sudan that took place in recent days. The violence has displaced an estimated 20,000 people from several neighborhoods around the state capital in Yala town. That's according to preliminary reports, from the International Organization for Migration. Our humanitarian colleagues are closely monitoring the situation and are working to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian assistance to South Darfur. Unfortunately, the clashes are currently hampering any transport of aid into Nyala from East Darfur. Turning to Ukraine, the UN humanitarian coordinator there, Denise Brown, condemned a new wave of attacks over the weekend, which once again damaged houses, hospitals, and schools, and killed and injured dozens of people, including children. Our humanitarian colleagues noted that the frontline communities in Kherson and neighboring Zaporizhzhia regions were particularly impacted. In the Kherson region, an entire family, including a baby, was reportedly killed in their homes by shelling in the Shiroka Balka village. According to our humanitarian colleagues on the ground, Odessa was also hit yesterday with residential houses and education facilities being damaged. Meanwhile, we continue to support people across Ukraine. Last week, 2 interagency convoys delivered assistance to frontline communities in Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia region. The convoy delivered bottled water, food, medicines, shelter materials, hygiene kits, household items to support more than 15,000 people who remain in these areas. More than 7.3 million people in Ukraine have received aid so far since January 1st. A total of 18 million people need support. Turning to Bosnia Herzegovina, the UN resident coordinator there, Ingrid McDonald, expressed her deep sorrow and extends her condolences to the families of victims of the tragic shooting that took place in Gradačac on Friday. We are horrified by the fact that the murder of a woman was live-streamed via a social media network, which is one of the latest attacks in a streak of femicide and severe cases of gender-based violence in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Femicide, the intentional killing of women and girls based on their gender, represents a glaring and grave violation of human rights. Tomorrow, we will be joined virtually by our good friend Gordon Brown, who is, as you know, the UN Special Envoy for Global Education and the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He will join us virtually to brief you on the issue of girls' education in Afghanistan. Finally, a little quiz if you're ready for some action. Benno, no cheating. Google is off. No, you're no longer on probation, but one more Googling will get you out of the briefing. This African nation has 16 official languages, 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and had a legendary concert by a reggae icon perform at its ceremony to mark its independence in 1980, in April 1980. Oh, very disappointed. Zimbabwe, who was the singer?
Well, you were born there. So.
Yeah. Even more disappointing. Legendary concert by Bob Marley. So thank you to our friends in Harare, 129 fully paid up member states. Let's try this. Can you name 2 of those languages, of the 16 official languages?
Shona in English?
There you go. You've been redeemed. No, we'll still go to Edie.
Thank you, Steph. 2 questions. First, the current military rulers of Niger have said that they are going to put the elected president on trial on charges of high treason. Does the Secretary General have any comment, and is the UN trying to take any specific actions?
Well, it's obviously very worrying declaration. We remain extremely concerned about the state of being, the health and safety of the president and his family. And again, we call for his immediate and unconditional release. And his reinstatement as head of state, of course.
And is the UN trying to do anything on the ground to reverse this?
Well, on the political end, as you know, our special envoy, our special representative for West Africa, Mr. Shimao, was in Abuja. He continues to work very closely with ECOWAS and the AU. It's very important that the UN, the regional organizations, sub-regional organizations present a united front, which we would hope will move to the reversal of the situation.
And a follow-up on your Mali announcement. Is the United Nations required to leave all the facilities in the camp when it departs? For instance, can it take all the furniture? Can it take all the equipment? What is it required to leave?
I hope to have a bit more granularity on all of that, but I can tell you that what we own and what we can take, we will take. If there are things that are handed over, it will be clearly noted that they are handed over, whether it's desks or chairs. But obviously, all the contingent-owned equipment, weapons, and all of that will leave. Sherwin.
Steph, follow up on Niger. ECOWAS has essentially signaled that while they prefer a diplomatic route here, that they've activated a standby force as a last resort. Does the Secretary General support that formula? Diplomacy first, but in the event
I think
that fails,
we've always support diplomacy. The Secretary General very much feels that, and this is part of his approach, in a sense, to a lot of peace and security issues, which is to ensure that sub-regional and regional organizations are in the primary lead, so to speak, and it is up to them to take the decisions they wish to take. Benno, then Madame, and then Madame.
Thank you. Also, a follow-up to Mali. Can you give us a picture about how much hostility the departing MINUSMA forces are facing? From what you said, it appears like it could be like increasing amount of hostilities. And I heard myself that departing convoys on their way out of the country were attacked. And
I mean,
maybe
there have
not
been
only
incidents
once.
I mean, as we said today, there have been security incidents. There have been, but there have been also security incidents in Mali for a long time. I mean, as you know, the mission in Mali, sadly, is in the lead in terms of UN peacekeepers that have been killed in the line of duty and injured. As far as I know, we are not facing hostility from the population. I think that's very important. That's very important to note. And the peacekeepers have been there and have given their lives to help the people of Mali. Madame.
Monsieur, according to IOM, more than 1,800 people have died at sea between North Africa and Italy, more than double the number last year. What I'd like to know is what is the UN doing other than reporting figures? This migrant that they left their country because of the war the Occident created. Let's say Afghan, Syrian, Libyans. So what are we doing?
I mean,
Can't we stop that?
In terms of stopping the wars, it is up to the people, and mostly men, shall we say, who have their fingers on the trigger. And we see conflict as a major driver of population movement. That's a fact. We continue to push for a greater agenda for peace, greater development, greater human rights. All of these issues, when go badly, are drivers of population movement. In terms of the Mediterranean, we've been reporting those very numbers from here. The Secretary General has expressed his deep sorrow and anger at the situation. I think he's been very clear in the fact that there is a shared responsibility from all European Union countries when you're talking about the Mediterranean to create more legal pathways for migration. Migration it's a thing. People are always going to be on the move, and when there's violence, you have refugees who are seeking shelter. We have the framework in place, the global compacts on migration. We have international refugee law. Those things need to be upheld. Ms. Salome.
Thank you, Steph. We're all eagerly awaiting the Secretary General's report on Haiti. I'm wondering
Indeed.
if you have any updates on that, if we can expect that today.
Continue your eagerness. It should be out next in the next few days, Madame.
In the next few days.
Yep.
Thank you. My question is on Afghanistan. It's 2 years since the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. UN experts accuse the Taliban of systematic abuse of human rights, particularly of women and girls. There's this deepening humanitarian crisis, this sense among Afghan women that they've been abandoned by the international community. At this stage, what does the Secretary General think needs to be done? What is the answer here?
The immediate answer is that those in power in Afghanistan need to give to women and girls in Afghanistan the rights and the dignity they are owed. That every man, woman, and child is owed, but that we've seen all the reversals week by week almost in Afghanistan the last 2 years that are pushing women and girls in Afghanistan further and further away from the human rights that are theirs, right? And that is obviously not only having an impact on the individuals, it is having an impact on Afghanistan as a whole. It is moving Afghanistan away from the development that any country should have.
But with respect, the UN's been saying that
Yeah.
for 2 years. What is going to compel the Taliban to change course?
Listen, if we had the actual answer, if we held the key or the secret code to what will happen, I would have hoped we would have used it. What will compel them is a united front from the international community, keeping the issue first and foremost in the spotlight. But those who have influence, who have direct lines of communications with the Taliban, need to use that influence and those direct lines to the benefit of women and girls in Afghanistan. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dujarric. Ali Rajabi, IRIB, Iran's State TV correspondent. What's the Secretary General's position regarding a terrorist attack on innocent people in the city of Shiraz in Iran, the shrine of the Shah Cheragh?
The Secretary General strongly condemns the terrorist attack that we saw on the holy site in Shiraz on 13 August, yesterday, which is, as you know, the second attack in the last 10 months. Acts targeting religious sites, places of worship, are abhorrent. The Secretary General stresses the need to bring justice the perpetrators of this crime against civilians, exercising their right to practice their religion freely. The Secretary General conveys his deepest condolences to the bereaved families and the people of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he wishes a speedy recovery to those injured. Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is Labluan sir from Bangladesh Pratidin. The establishment of a loss and damage fund was a significant outcome of the COP27, marking the result of years of advocacy from climate vulnerable developing nations. This fund intends to offer financial support to countries, including those most affected by climate change like Bangladesh. How will this matter be addressed at the upcoming Climate Ambitious Summit schedule, which will take place next month in UN headquarters? Could you also provide insights into the UN Secretary General's stance on this issue?
Well, the Secretary General feels that the loss and damage fund is a critical part of addressing the devastating impact of climate change, who we know has been, as we all know, has been much more severe on those countries that have contributed the least to our changing climate, who have been emitting the least harmful chemicals into our air. And we know how vulnerable Bangladesh is with its coastline. We very much hope that at the upcoming summit, member states and heads of delegations will come with strong acts and action that will help to fulfill the promises that were made at the COP. Yep.
Steph, Israeli and Lebanese delegations are traveling to New York this week to discuss UNIFIL with a number of officials here and Security Council ambassadors. Is the Secretary General holding a meeting with either of those delegations, and how active a role does the Secretary General plan on playing in the UNIFIL renewal mandate?
If it's this week, no, because the Secretary General will be back.
Even remotely?
Even remotely.
Okay.
That does not take away from the importance that we carry on, the importance that we, excuse me, it's my first day back.
All good.
This doesn't change the importance that we've invested in the work of UNIFIL, in the need for the mandate to be renewed, as the Secretary General has recommended. I think UNIFIL plays a critical role along the blue line and in a stabilizing factor between Israel and Lebanon. Obviously, as with any peacekeeping mission, the renewal of the mandate is in the hands of the 15 members of the Security Council. Why not?
Yeah, thank you. Again, it's about Bangladesh election. On August 21st, 2004, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party carried out a grenade attack.
Sir, I would love to go straight to a question and not go back 20 years without.
But it was related.
But what is the question?
The incident resulted in tragic loss of 40 lives and left over 500 people injured. It was a terrorist incident. Now again, ahead of the next general election, which will be held next year, January, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, is involving themselves in vandalism in Bangladesh.
So I think
What is your views?
on the views of the upcoming elections, I would refer you to what we've been saying for quite some time on the elections in the transcript. That has not been changed. I think we do have a question online from Zahara. Please, Zahara.
Hi, Steph.
Hi.
My question regarding terrorist attack in Shiraz. Can we expect a condemnation from Security Council? Does the Security Council has a double standard in condemning terrorists or no?
Zahara, that is a question you need to ask the presidency of the Security Council members. They are, the council members are not people I speak for. Benno.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Benno.
Thank you. If you didn't say something about that already, Egypt, the massacre in Rabat Square is 10 years today. It's 10 years ago. Does the Secretary General have any comment on this most deadly incident in Egypt's
I have
known history?
no more comment than what we said at the time.
It never went to court. It was the now President Sisi ordered the attack as the army chief. Should have.
I mean,
had
as
gone
a
to
matter of
court or
rule,
not?
there always needs to be accountability, but I have nothing more to say than what we said at the time. Let's go.
Thank you. My question is on Haiti this time.
Yep.
There's this move by the US to ask Kenya to send the police force to Haiti to help with the security situation there. But human rights groups in Kenya have accused the Kenyan police of serious human rights abuses, brutality, including the shooting dead of protesters. Recently, UN human rights experts have also raised these concerns. So my question is this really a police force that the Secretary General wants to see on the streets of Haiti?
I'm not going to get ahead of whatever member states will decide. But what I can tell, and also we don't even know what format that will take. The only thing I can point you to is that we do for peacekeeping missions, which, again, and I'm not speaking about Haiti, but in general, when there are troops deployed or police officers deployed under a UN flag, they go through a human rights due diligence policies, which looks at the individual names of police officers and soldiers that are sent, and they go through a human rights screening. See you tomorrow. No Polina today.